the market? What should your strategy be like? Let's try to decode that with a whole of experts who will be joining us on the show. And let's start with Dhananjay Sinha, who is the co-head of Equities at Systematix Groups, joining us on the show right now. Hi Dhananjay, good afternoon and good to be speaking with you.
Good
Firstly,
afternoon.
help us with your take on the markets, because seems like it's a break on the rally that we have already seen in the markets of late, and they are seen to be reversing at least today. What sense are you getting from the markets right now? Help us understand that. Have we already seen a near-term top for our markets?
So I think there has been a sort of a relief rally since I would say early this year when the Trump tariff fears were there and the way it was panning out. I think there has been a easing of the anxiety levels with resumption of talks and all. I think that is something that has permeated across markets, and in our markets have also participated in that. Secondly, there has been a constructive sort of positioning that the government and RBI has taken by way of easing regulatory restrictions or tightness on the banking sector, on the lending side, and also the aggressive monetary easing that RBI did, including CRR cut, rate cuts, liquidity infusion, etc. So I think all those things have actually played out in terms of how the market has actually responded. I would say that these are these are rebounds, notwithstanding the fact that Q4 results were fairly modest, growing at roughly about 5% if you look at Nifty. And what appears to be now kind of weighing on the market after the rally is that you have an upcoming result season wherein the expectations might be, or the actual results may be somewhat more sober compared to what the market may have actually priced in. So there is a certain amount of restraint that is observed in the market after the big rally, and also that you have this whole tariff thing is also coming back. After the end of the 3 months moratorium on tariffs, how does it shape up going forward is a second variable to look at. And I think third is with respect to what happens to US Fed rate and all. So I think you have both domestic and global variables all playing out in the market, and hence what we are seeing is a kind of cautious scenario after a sort of a rebound. And my expectation is that for quite some time the market will actually see a rotational strategy being adopted at different points of time. So I would say investors will need to be nimble enough to ride those switches as it happens.
Right, Dhananjay, I appreciate that view, but the kind of sector churn we've seen, 1 week you have banks that are leading the force, then you have IT, now you have, since the last couple of trading sessions, metals that is seeming bright. Amid a market like this, which sectors do you think could offer some sort of safety net for investors?
So I would say that you know uh, one thing that is sort of coming out is that there can be a sort of a renewed focus of the government on reviving household income and consumption. The government has announced the employment incentive scheme yesterday. So some of those things, which are relating to consumption ideas selectively can actually do well. I would say, as far as the banking sector is concerned, and lending in general, I would say there has been a significant rebound there because of the cheap valuations, and it was kind of a very cautious or precautionary, element that was exhibited in the way some of the private banks have rebounded given their cheap valuation. But importantly, if you see the results, what we are finding is that the banking sector is seeing a significant deceleration in business if you look at the credit growth sector. So I would say that the banking sector has seen its rally. I would say that flows would actually start favoring other segments. Intermittently, these segments will rotate. I think there is a flavor, as you said, with respect to the metal space, especially copper related segments and companies relating to non-ferrous sector. I would say that is another one. I would say within autos, what we like is basically tractor names, two-wheeler names. There is a significant issue with respect to rare metals and the supply of rare metals and magnets utilized for e-vehicles and EV vehicles, and also I would say conventional combustion engines. Cars could also see certain headwinds with respect to supply. So I would say it has to be a little cautious on the auto side. I think the market cap will switch in favor of two-wheelers and more importantly tractors. Agri input is something that we like, and of course a lot of FMCG names. And we are seeing also defense is actually positioned well because of the geopolitical landscape that is panning out.
Right, so that's the take on the sectoral picks. But Dhananjay, like you were just highlighting the fact with respect to the rare earth issue for the auto
Yes.
space, and yes, no company is actually being very vocal about it. Even they are waiting for the clarity. But on the flip side, Dhananjay, there are a lot of companies now coming out with the announcements that they are interested in the mining of these minerals. Any particular stock or a company where you would like to bet on with respect to this theme, or do you believe that it's a far-fetched target and something incremental to happen will take time?
So I think a fair judgment on this is that for India will be able to indigenously manufacture the kind of magnets that are required. So and secondly, whatever type of magnets that we have are quite bulky. It will not have the readiness. It will not provide the readiness for the OEMs to depend on them. As of now, it does look like that it won't. It is largely pivoted on how we negotiate with China, and that negotiation hasn't started in a significant way. Eventually, China will agree to a certain improvement in supply, but I think there will be a quid pro quo with respect to how we negotiate with them. I think they will ask for greater access to Indian markets, especially for autos. Maybe BYD might actually come in a much more significant way. So I think while um, uh, I think the near term visibility of domestic supply is very is remote, I would say. Eventually, we'll have to go back to the Chinese supply and all. There are certain companies that are sort of sourcing from Europe, etc., from certain companies in Europe. But I think there also there is supply shortages and all. So, and the other thing is that you have the Indian OEMs had not really prepared for such a scenario. So there is a considerable shortage of such supplies that can happen. And I would say that July onwards, I think they will face a bigger issue. So I think that is how you can look at it in the short term. I think betting on some mining companies for this looks to be very far-fetched. Eventually, it has to translate into usable magnets, and that itself will take about 2 years minimum.
Okay, Dhananjay, I appreciate that view. Hold that thought for us. It's a quite an interesting take that you have on this entire rare earth metal issue that the auto space rather is facing right now. But let's shift focus and talk about oil and gas, because